Dominic King.
BBC Radio Kent.
Good morning, it's a daytime show with Dom on BBC Radio Kent. Now, what if your partner and best friend don't get on? It can be challenging if the people you love the most don't like each other. And you may feel you have to pick a side. Maybe you don't have to. Teresha Young is a relationship coach and is here to talk about this with us this morning. Lovely to have you with us, Teresha. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you very much, Dom. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm really well. Do you know, when I heard you at the front of the show telling us that you were coming on, you're so positive, and I thought that this is what we need for a Friday when we go into a weekend, when we know that some people listening will be dealing with exactly that person coming round. It's been on the calendar since Christmas. Yeah. They've been looking at it going, oh, February, oh, got such and such coming round. Oh, it can be a nightmare, can't it?
It absolutely can do, because sometimes we feel like we have to choose between our loved ones and loyalty. So it can leave you just thinking, how do I choose? And as you said, it doesn't have to be difficult if you choose for it not to be difficult.
How do we, first of all, take it head on? So, you know, we know that with individuals, we're all like, oh, it's human behaviour. There can be just this little niggle thing that happens where maybe the person, you know, emphasises something where you're like, oh gosh, I wish they wouldn't do that. Maybe they tell too many jokes. It could be all these different things that they do that you're just like, oh no, and it rubs you up the wrong way. It's probably more about you than them, to be fair, isn't it?
That's a good point. And this is why we have to do some self-reflection, because sometimes we can be aggravated. There can be these niggles that show up. Now, we have to understand the root cause, because we often try to fix the problem at the surface level. But we need to go back and to say, in actual fact, is it that person? Or could they remind me of somebody else? Sometimes it could even be our parents or somebody from school, a teacher, and you just think, oh, that trait, that behaviour is so familiar, but we take it out on the other person rather than actually exploring and doing the healing work ourselves.
When people do kind of fall out, it can be really overwhelming for you, I guess, if you are the friend of that person that you invited into your space. And we know with couples of any age, but I'm thinking that this can be something that, especially if I'm talking to those listening now who are sort of over 50, who are literally saying, well, I've known this person. Trouble is, I've known this person for maybe 10, 15, 20 years, but I still have a problem with them. And you are thinking, yeah, but that's my friend. I've known them. They're part of my life too.
Yes. So really, this is about having open, honest and transparent conversations, because there could be some real concerns for the reason why that is some disharmony between them. So really ask your loved ones, like, what is causing them to feel the way that they do? Because sometimes the concerns are based on misunderstandings rather than any real issues. And really take time to hear what their concerns are, hear what they have shared with you, and also tell them how it makes you feel, because we can feel completely torn in that situation. Sometimes it's a case of that they just want to make their point and there's no real reason for doing so. But equally, it's just understanding whether it is a genuine issue and it's worth reflecting on.
Relationship coach Teresha Young is with me on BBC Radio again this morning. We're talking about whether that sort of almost like a bomb in the room happens. You know, your partner, your best friend, a relationship, could be a family member, could be all these things, and they just don't get on, and you're trying to navigate it, and you're trying to please everyone, both sides. Right, let's open up Teresha's casebook here and listen into one of the cases she's dealt with recently.
One couple I worked with found themselves in a really tough spot. The woman had been best friends with someone for years, long before she met her partner, but that relationship became a huge source of tension in her relationship. Her best friend wasn't exactly welcoming to the partner, and the partner started to feel like there was an unfair power struggle for time, attention, and even influence over decisions. She felt completely torn. She loved them both, but was constantly stuck in the middle. We worked through 3 key things. Firstly, getting to the root cause of the issue. Was this about genuine concerns, or was it about discomfort with change? Then setting healthy boundaries, helping her communicate to both sides that they didn't have to like each other, but they did have to respect her choices. And finally, reframing the situation. Instead of feeling like she had to choose between them, she focused on balancing both relationships in a way that felt fair and sustainable. The shift came when she realised that it wasn't about making everyone happy. It was about creating a dynamic where she could have both relationships without constant tension. And when she approached it from that mindset, everything started to ease.
Teresha, amazing to hear how you navigate that with that person working with you. Right, let's just get into the weekend then. Think about there's an event going on Saturday night for someone listening right now, and they are worried about that person coming in the room. They could be the person who is so offended by that friend, and they're like, oh, God, I can't stand them. Versus the person in your life who you love, who is literally sitting there, hands on their head, thinking, oh no, I can't believe we're going out. I really want to go out as a couple, as maybe a group of us, but I'm so worried. Give us some final tips that we can be thinking about, getting into that mindset of sorting it out.
Yeah. So firstly, if this is repeat behaviour, I think it's worth having a conversation with both people before it actually happens. So you can actually mitigate the anticipation behind it. So speak to the friend and say, I've noticed that whenever, for example, we come together, there feels like there's some tension. Well, what's going on here? Like, have you felt the same? And so actually have a conversation with both parties to let them know how you feel ahead of it. Because when we are in the moment, we can actually go into fight, flight, freeze syndrome, and our nervous system goes all out of whack. So the first thing is to make sure that you can have those conversations ahead. That's what I would strongly promote, so that you feel safe in that environment too. And then also just think that this is not going to happen. It's not going to be all night long. If you need to take yourself out of the situation and you need a pause, give yourself that time to pause, some deep breaths, leave the room, come back, because those things aren't necessarily going to be resolved in that evening.
Amazing. So good having you on BBC Radio Kent. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Teresha Young on relationships. Maybe we could all put that into play this weekend. Let me know how you get on. I would love to hear the story at the end.